So, psychic healing is a broad category of an approach to healing that includes using skills beyond just our five senses. It gets into the clairs, clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, among others. Those are the top clairs that I'm most familiar with using. And I'm just coming out of an appointment, and it was with a friend, so somebody that I know personally. So there's a little more familiarity there. There's a little bit more of a container already established and a connection for that matter. Um, and so I knew a little bit more of this person's history than, say, somebody that was a new patient to me completely. Um, but as I was working on her, it felt to me like her lower chakras were really almost not accessible. Like they just weren't, I couldn't feel much going on there. And then I could feel a ton of kind of congested energy in the face and the really like the throat and the face. So kind of the third eye and the throat chakra. And the crown felt more open. Her heart felt actually like really big. But then in the lower chakras, not much. That solar plexus, that sacral, and that root chakra, it just kind of fell down. So to me, it kind of feels like a map when I have a client on the table, on the massage table, and then I'm using my hands just to sort of sense like how I can read the chakras where it feels like the chakras are big or alive or robust, and where they're sort of falling in or falling off. Sometimes I could just draw a diagram from like this person looked like a triangle and all their energy is in the throat, and then it just falls off at the bottom towards their feet. Or this person, it's going like a roller coaster. I can really feel like a map of the energy, so to speak. And then I'm working to floss the chakras and balance the energy. What I'm really wanting for people is to have full access to all of their chakras and energy centers, and to feel online, to feel balanced, and to have access. And oftentimes I'm just working in the crown and the root and the heart, because like getting out of all of these other energy centers and just focusing on those three, the crown, the heart, and the root, that can give me a sense of where energy is moving or not moving, where it's kind of stuck. So I wanted to talk about what it's like to feel in your body what's going on in a healing session. And I want to talk about how important it is to not presume that what you're feeling is what your client is feeling. So this has always been the case for me. I've always felt things in my body. And as I've developed in my skill sets of doing more energy work and really doing my own personal healing work, I've come to be able to learn what is my energy and what's not my energy. Even though I'll be having an experience in my body, when I'm working with somebody, I'll often ask them if this is what's up for them. Is this what's going on for them? Because I'm wondering, why am I feeling like I want to cry right now? So that's what happened today. I felt like I wanted to cry, and I knew that it's not like I had any reason to cry, but it also felt like it wasn't the right time to ask her when she was on the table. And then afterwards, she got up and I sort of brought that into the conversation. And then we had a moment after the fact of really authentic sharing. There was a real breakthrough moment for her when I was able to name what it felt like energetically, that it felt congested, that it felt stuck, and that I felt like I'd wanted to cry. So, interestingly, I wanted to tie this back to when I was a nurse, and I worked at Planned Parenthood, and we had to check a hemoglobin, like do a finger stick to check a hemoglobin. And I stuck this patient, and this would kind of happen frequently in other situations, but I suddenly felt like I wanted to pass out. And I'm like, why do I want to pass out? I'm sitting on a stool. I'm just like feeling strong. Like I've been in the middle of my day. Like I probably think after lunch, like I felt fine, but all of a sudden I want to pass out. And so I looked to this patient. I said, "Do you feel like you're going to pass out?" And she barely got the words out before she just kind of like slumped back. But I was prepared to get up and like put the head of the table down and fan her, and had like a cool towel real close by. So it's helped me so much in my career to anticipate what's happening. Same thing when I've put in IUDs. I've just had the feeling like all the blood came out of my head, and I get dizzy, and I'm like, ask the patient, "Are you feeling dizzy?" Because there's no reason that I should be feeling dizzy. Um, and I just want to really emphasize how important it is to fact check with your patient and not presume that what you're feeling is what the patient's feeling. It might be your feeling. And I think there's an ethical responsibility in addressing your perception and checking that against the client. I feel like the client is the one in charge. The client is the one that's setting the pace. And it's so important for people to put words to their own experience, and giving them the opportunity to describe how they're feeling and make a connection where they have this aha moment, especially when we're getting into energetics. Today, this appointment was really about grief and unprocessed grief. So it's um, that aha moment, that connection where the client is going to find the most meaning. And the best thing I can do is just provide the platform for the client to make those connections. And I do think it's a real gift to have the sensitivity on my end of experiencing what it's like when somebody is having a physical sensation and I feel the physical sensation. I think that's a huge gift. And I've really learned to develop it in a way, understanding that this belongs to the other person, it's not mine. And it's become an incredible gift in being able to anticipate the needs of my patients. So, speaking to what's important on my end, it's having what I like to call spiritual hygiene, energetic hygiene. Before I start a session, I am really dropping in to clear my mind. And if I'm ruminating or I'm having repetitive thoughts or worries or to-do lists or things that are carrying over from previous conversations, more like in my personal life, to really be able to find rest for all of that and open up to be a clear channel for whatever kind of information could come to me through other realms while I'm working with this patient. I'm really here for the patient. I'm in this role of service. And this is where professionalism comes in. It's about putting your own things aside and being able to step into this role of being a provider for holding space for somebody else. And that is really the key to helping protect yourself. When I teach classes on doing energy work, we spend a lot of time on psychic protection before we get into actually doing energy work on others. And that is really about running clear. It's about having, like I like to say, a clear channel, like that you're a piece of hollow bamboo and there's just light running through. You're just a conduit for light and energy. And there's no negative thoughts or ruminations that would be a snag that any negative energy could catch on to. That's really the key in being able to close a session and feel like you're giving back to this patient what it is that they needed and keeping a boundary around your own energy. I think it's really easy for empaths to make the mistake that they assume to know what other people are thinking or feeling. We can never know what other people are thinking or feeling. I think it's a beautiful gift to have the sensitivity, but the responsibility that comes with that is to check in with others if that's true. My truth isn't necessarily your truth. And what I'm picking up on may or may not belong to you. And it may or may not be the right time for you to discover that or share on that. And so, respectfully allowing people to have the space to have their own experience and just objectively noting what my experience is without having personal attachments to outcomes, not having an agenda for my client, and to just be able to observe the sensation in my own body, find curiosity or interest around that. And it might be food for thought later. It might be something that comes up in future appointments. I've had that happen where patients come back around to say something that happened a month or two ago that now makes sense for them, and it something clicks. And it's always exciting when we meet up and we're on the same page. It's always I find a lot of satisfaction and pleasure when my clients are having breakthroughs because it's just like a win for both of us. So, my energy work, my path doing energy work has just continued to grow. It's continued to develop. And, I think it's something, it's really dear to me. It's really precious. I was always told I had psychic gifts when I was younger. And I was like, what does that mean? When is it going to happen? When's it going to come? And I would have never known or imagined that it would look like this. What it looks like to me, what it feels like is that I have sensations in my body that often are what the patient is feeling. And that's a great window to be able to have as a healthcare provider, to anticipate the needs of my patients, to look out for their comfort, and to increase their experience, the depth of their experience in the healing work. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any comments, leave them below. I'd like to address them in future lives. And I'll be back on in the coming days. I hope you have a great day. Take care.